Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Dr. Shahabuddin Ahmed. Today I will be discussing about the third tutorial on SimaPro analysis. Those of you have not seen the previous tutorials, like tutorial number 1, 2 and 3 on lifecycle modeling as well as the SimaPro, I would highly recommend you to go through those videos. I will put the links to my description box. Please feel free to go through this link and watch those videos. That will help you understand this one more clearly. Now let me start with this one. Firstly, I will talk about the problems. Let me share my screen first. Okay, in this tutorial, this will be the fresh analysis. As I have mentioned before, that previous two analysis were the demo versions, built-in programs or built-in lifecycle modeling, which I have demonstrated step-by-step process. But this one will be the fresh analysis. I will show step-by-step how we can build your own model. So in this model, the flat tree will be used to make plank, bark and sawdust. So these are the product and byproduct of the process. And as you can see, this is the flat tree, and we will be using chainsaw to make it plank, and our byproduct would be bark and sawdust. Okay, so there are some assumptions here. Okay, so the problem statements is building a simple process networks that describe the production of plank from a tree. Assume we want to make an LCA of a simple wooden shed to be used in a private garden. The shed is made of just two materials, wood and some steel for the nails and other metals. Okay, so in this problem, in this tutorial, I will be discussing about the first part, and in the second tutorial of this series of making fresh LCA modeling, I will be discussing the other parts. Okay, so for simplicity, we have some assumptions, like we have to ignore some impact of cutting the forest, which has an impact on the impact category biodiversity. So we will demonstrate some advanced feature in the modeling waste scenario, okay, which I will discuss in second part as well. And example, we will use the assumption that 40% of the wood is burned in open fireplace at people's home, and that produce 60% goes to modern landfill. With the task would be like 1.25 tons of wood is flat to produce a tree trunk of 1 ton. The rest, branch and top, is left in the forest. We assume those do not cause emissions, as they are part of natural process in the forest. In a full life cycle, this assumption should of course be better analyzed. Okay. Now, we will use a chainsaw as I discussed in the previous slide, and chainsaw data provided in the example is specified as impact per hour. In this example, we use a production rate of 25 tons of wood per hour. That means if 25 tons of wood can be processed in 1 hour, that means that our 1.25 tons would require only 3 minutes. Okay. Once we have developed the production and end of life scenario, we will develop the specification of the sheds, the assembly and the life cycle. Okay, the disclaimer here is the purpose here is to learn about SimaPro, not to provide you the accurate data. Hope you have understood the problems and assumptions and what would be the task step by step. Now let's go to the SimaPro web software. So this is the SimaPro software which I have already opened for you, and this is the demo version. And those of you have not downloaded this software, I would highly recommend you to download it and start following me. Okay, first thing you need to do is click in the new project. Okay, once you click in the new project, you will get this one. For example, put a name, wood plank. So once you click here, you get this message, which is SimaPro demo this function is not available in the demo. So that means you cannot put make new project in this demo version. That's why we have to start from the process. Like once you click your once you work with your licensed version, you can click in the new project, start with making new project and put your name, and then go to step-by-step process like goal definition. You can put your goal here, and which I have already discussed in previous tutorials, and you can select your method here. Of course, we will be selecting method in this analysis as well, but it is already been selected. All the methods are selected, so we don't need to select anymore. But later on, when we do the analysis, I will show you how we can select it, although I have seen it, I have shown it before. Okay, now the thing is you have to start from the process. Okay, once you click process, you will get this window, and then you can see there are some options here. First of all, you have to click in the material. Okay, just collapse it. From material, you need to choose your material. Our material in this cases is wood. Okay, go to the wood, and these are the models I have already built, so I will show you from the beginning how I have done it. Okay, first of all, you have to create new. Okay, so once you click new, this window will appear, and then you put the name. We will do two processes here. One is just simple making a plank, and in the second part of this tutorial, I will discuss about how we can make multi-product and byproduct like plank, sawdust, and bark, but almost the same thing. So just follow me. Put name plank 2, because I have already made plank in one tutorial. So put the plank name and process type, for example, unit process. Okay, and you can fill this, all this. I'm just skipping at the moment. So go to the documentation is done. You can go to input and output now. Okay, so in the input and output, our product is, just double click here, plank. Okay, and the amount is 1 ton. So double click here in the unit, you will get the options to select the unit. 1 ton, and mass quality is 100%. Category wood. Okay, now the input from the nature. So input from nature, double click here. Once you double click here, you will get a bunch of options here to select your materials. We will select wood unspecified standard kilogram. Okay, so this one select. So it is selected, and put the amount 1.25 ton or 1250 kilogram. Okay, and materials and fuel, we will not select anything from here, and we'll go to the electricity and heat. Double click here. So our process, go to the process now. This is the process, not materials. Okay, and this is materials. Okay, go to the processing. We will process with chainsaw. This is materials, energy, transport, and processing. In this processing, we will use the chainsaw to make the plank. Go to the wood, and in the wood, you can see bunch of options here again. So choose chainsaw, the first one. There are 3. The more or less these are same. So I will select the first one and select. Okay. So now you need to put the time here. So as I discussed, it will take 3 minutes based on different companies' assumptions or the data. We will select 3 minutes because they found that in 1 hour 25 tons can be produced. So that means to process 1.25 ton or 1250 kilogram, it will take only 3 minutes. Okay, so just to note, we are not selecting materials and fuels. In these cases, electricity and heat, in all the impact from electricity and heat is given in this chainsaw. So that means we are not considering at this moment emission to air, emission to water, because all this will be included here. The second part we will discuss about like emission to air and etc. etc. So we will just select final waste flow in this tutorial, making add. In the wood waste, just select wood waste from here. So wood sawdust, wood, there are a bunch of options here again. So select wood waste here and select it here. And amount of waste, we assume that it would be like 8.25 kilogram. It can differ based on your database or your criteria. At this point, that's all from the input and output system. Again, just to recap, put the plank 1 ton and then wood 1.25 ton or 1250 kilogram, and chainsaw, it will take 3 minutes to process the wood to make it plank, and then putting waste 8.25 kilogram, and that's it. Okay, now click in the network diagram here to see the impact. Click network. Okay, now as I discussed, we need to select the method. We will put the name here, plank 2. Okay, and network, we'll see all this, but at the beginning we will start with the network. And as I discussed, we will select the method. Method is receipt endpoint method. If you do double click here, you will be able to select the method. Double click, these are the method. So we have selected the receipt endpoint method. Just select it here. It was already selected. So now we want to analyze based on 1 kilogram of plank. Okay, so although we are processing about 1.25 ton of wood to make it 1 ton of plank, but it will be like per kilogram, the unit or the functional unit here is 1 kilogram. What would be the impact in the environment and the other categories? Okay, so now at the bottom you can see in the 2 options, calculate and close. So just click calculate. Data have been changed. Okay, so after calculation you get this data. All right, so now in the previous tutorial I have discussed all this, but those of you are new here, just to recap. So here you can just zoom in and zoom out. I can see 1 kg of plank, chainsaw is 100%, of course. So of course it will take 0.18 seconds for 1 kilogram, and this is the impact from gasoline, crude oil, because these were, like, you might ask, like, what this gasoline, crude oil and this and that is coming from bituminous natural gas. Okay, so this is the entire life cycle of the chainsaw. So first of all, you had to make the chainsaw, and in order to make the chainsaw and other components, you required to consume gasoline, then crude oil, electricity, and it had to transport your plank, or your chainsaw had to transport from one place to the sawmill, from forest to the sawmill, natural gas, electricity, transport, etc., etc. were required. So all this impact are considered here. So let me check the impact assessment. If you don't know what this is all about, so you have to watch the previous tutorials, and I'm not discussing it again. So ecosystem has this amount of impact, and then your resources has this amount of impact. So as you can see, human health has more impact compared to ecosystem and resources. In this model, you can check the single score. So this is the single score, damage assessment, normalizations, characterizations, and so on. I have discussed all these things in my previous tutorials. Okay, so now let's close this window. This is all about making the plank, right? So now close the window. Yes. Okay, so now we will select save this one to work on in the second part, make it select. Plank is already exist in the wood. Okay, so because I showed you, I have already in fact this name would be flat tree. Okay, so now say, okay, so this is already exist again. Okay, flat tree 2, we will save it as save. Number 7. All right, now close this one. Okay, so this is all about the first part, and in the second part we will discuss about like how we can make bark and sawdust and multiple products and some other things we will discuss. Process, click new, and then you will get this window again, similar to before. Now we have a 3 product and byproduct or co-product altogether. So first one is the plank, and the second one is the bark, and third one is our sawdust. Okay, now we think that plank would be 500 kilogram and allocation. Okay, and this one would be 400 kilogram bark and 100 kilogram of sawdust, just to assume. Okay, all in kg mass, and the allocation would be 50%. If you just do the calculation, it would be 50% out of thousands, and this would be the 40%, and this would be the 10%. Okay, all are wood category. Now input from the nature, we are not taking input from the nature because we have already included in the first part of the tutorial the input from the nature, and that plank we will work on. So that means this is materials input from the technosphere. Just to understand, this is from the technosphere, materials and fuels part, not from the nature part is like tree cutting from the forest and then taking to the sawmill. This is the first part from the nature, and the second part is the second one is the technosphere. That means we have already got it from the nature and then now processing as a materials and fuels. Okay, this is the materials. Just click, double click, go to our materials. So if you go to the materials and wood, and then you can see the flat tree. I just have saved this one, and previously I saved this one, so either one you can select. This is the same thing. So let's put flat tree. Now select, and then this was 1 ton. Okay, 1 ton flat tree, and then input from the technosphere and electricity. Input from the technosphere, electricity and heat. We will consider the electricity to process it. Double click here and go to the process, energy, electricity. You can choose. Okay, so this is the new thing, like energy. Go to the energy and you can choose either of this one depending on your situation. This tutorial I will be selecting the electricity by country. Once you click here, let's choose high voltage, low voltage and medium voltage. Let's choose medium voltage depending on your country, what kind of voltage you have in your country. So number here, so this is GB means Great Britain, FR means France, EU means European Union, etc. DK means Denmark, and etc. etc. AU means Australia. So depending on your country, you can choose. Let's choose European Union one, grid electricity. Okay, European one. Okay, you can choose based on your area. Okay, amount of, okay, let's choose kilowatt hour. Let's put it like 150 kilowatt hour. You need to know like how much electricity it will consume. This is the database or inventory data. And let's put, you need to transport your plank from the, or from into the sawmill. you consider this one or other transport. So go to the transport. Let's put road transport, transport of lorry. Okay, let me choose this one. All right. So now our input and output is selected for transport, for electricity, materials and fuels. Okay, now let's choose emission to air. So, and we assume that this emission is due to the drying of your wood, like you need to dry carbon okay, you choose carbon dioxide here. Okay, let's make it 450 kilogram. All right, so carbon monoxide. Okay, carbon dioxide biogenic, because this is related to bio things, so make it like biogenic one. This would be more relevant. Okay, make it carbon dioxide. This one is carbon monoxide biogenic. Okay, let's sulfur dioxide or NOx, nitrogen dioxide. You choose based on your database or the data you have available. So let's choose sulfur. Sulfur dioxide, SuL, PHER, sulfur, sulfur dioxide. Okay, so let's assume carbon monoxide is emitting 2.9 kilogram, 500 gram nitrogen dioxide 500 gram. Let's make it a gram. Okay, and sulfur dioxide 100 gram, 100 grams. Okay, and another one is particulate matters less than 10 micron, particulates matter less than 10 micron, 540 gram. Okay, let's particulate matters less than 5 and 10 micron. Okay, select this one, and 540 gram. Okay, all right, so this is the emission we have in the air. And then is there any other emissions? Okay, so now that's all. Just to recap, make one product, plank, and other two byproduct, bark and sawdust. Select flat tree, which we have already created in the first one, to make the plank, and then select your materials and fuels, or select your electricity and heat, so which is like electricity, grid electricity, and a transport, and then emission to air for making the wood dry, as well as and other purposes. So we assume this is the amount of emission which is generating to the or emitting to the environment. Okay, based on our data. So now we will check the life cycle analysis. So similar to previous one, click in the network. From network, just click one plank 3, bark 3, and sawdust 3, because these names are already in the system, so this will not be set. Now click in the network, and method is selected, receive method. Sawdust 3 is selected. Our aim is to make the plank. not this one. Okay, so make it Planck. Just select this one and then go to the network. As you can see, Planck 3 is selected. Now our method is here, recipe method. Calculate it here. Okay, just click here. Now you make it like just make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so 2.6, you can see, so the cutoff is very negligible. So that means your fleet tree, this is so input and output flow. Just click it here. You can see total flow contribution is 61.4% in the plant. Out of that, electricity, grid electricity contributes 61.4%, and the flat tree very negligible amount. Okay, and then you can see the distribution here again, like chainsaw. We discussed it before, and these are already we have discussed in the first part of the tutorial. The same thing, you can analyze your single square impact assessment here, as we can see. Okay, from here you can see the Planck contributes 3.5 milli percentage, or the milli point. Okay, and the other is basically from grid electricity, and grid electricity contributes in different cases like ozone layer, human toxicity, photochemical oxidation, and so on. Okay, and weighting, you can see the Planck contributes in the particulate matter only, and flat tree contributes very minor. I can't see properly, probably here a little bit, and the majority of the impact is coming from grid electricity, which includes climate change on human, some are in the particulate matter, human toxicity, climate change in ecology, fossil depletion, and so on. All right, so you can discuss this in your impact assessment or the result interpretations. You can see the normal score and normalizations. Okay, you can do some factor here. Go to, all right, so you can see the process contribution in detail here. Okay, that's all about this tutorial. Okay, and I want to show you another thing here. I don't know whether I'll be able to show you from this demo version, just to show you so that you can, if you have your licensed version, you can play with. So let's just close it. Once you close, from our model, if you click here, analyze or compare, whatever, if you click analyze, you can choose to change the method here. And I just wanted to see global warming potential. Yeah, so this is global warming potential database, IPCC, International Panel for Climate Change. This is their database. You can see the global warming potential, and IPCC has different categories like 20 years potential, 100 years potential, and so on. So those of you who have not seen the first tutorial or the basic principle or the fundamentals of life cycle modeling, please go through this one. I have discussed all these things and how this can be calculated in theory mathematically. I have already demonstrated in the first tutorial, so please go through. And if you want to see this one, let's see, choose this one and select this one, and if I calculate it here, whether I can see the impact assessment. Okay, so in the impact assessment category, global warming potentials, this is the network, this is the impact, this is the inventory. From here you can see the detailed impact from different sectors, process contribution, setups, and so on. So yeah, based on your selection of your method, you can get different results, but you have to explain it why you have chosen that method. Okay, I'm not saving this one because I have already saved one. So as I save, so I lose my points from the demo version. Data have been saved. No, I don't want to save this one because I have already saved one. So click it here, close it here, and if I would saved, then I would get the bark 2, 3, plank 3 and sawdust 3 here. Okay, and then later on this will be required to analyze the sawdust and the bark. Okay, in the second tutorial of this series, in the tutorial number 3, I will be discussing about sawdust disposal scenario from the bark and sawdust. Hope you have understood, and thank you very much for watching, and I would request you to hit like and subscribe my channel so that you can get the next video once I upload. And thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Bye.